So, I just finished reading the Soul Eater manga, and I have to say, it is incredible. Easily in my top 5 favorites. I knew even before reading it that I would like it because the gothic Halloween aesthetic is more my style. Bloodborne, the Grey Man, that's really my type of vibe and story, but I never imagined liking it to this level. Okubo's character writing is exceptional. He finds a way to make most characters likable and well written, and all that is down to how unique the presentation, the premise, and the story of the manga itself is. The different way the madness of each character is presented and the way they deal with it is the driving force of the plot. Of course, Soul Eater has this overarching narrative about stopping the Kishin and the madness that it's bringing, but the solo characters' moment are by far, the best moments in the manga. Black Star is an unbelievable character. His idea of just wanting more power is pretty simple. He just wants to get stronger, but it's the way he gets that power that's intriguing. The path that he chooses that makes it deep and interesting. Seeing this madness or this obsession about power driving him to almost become a demon was great to see. Maka as a main character is really engaging, even though I feel like Black Star has a better moments because he's much more nuanced in my view. The dynamic between her and Soul is the driving force of the series, and she deserves to be the protagonist. I don't think I would like Soul Eater that much without her as the MC because she is the heart of basically everything. Death the Kid as the character is very weird to me because I feel like for the first half of the story, he's basically used as comic relief and he is pretty funny, but lacking in importance. It's only after his confrontation against Black Star in the Book of Abon that he really becomes an interesting character, and low-key the MVP of the final arc. He was cooking, not gonna lie. It was really dope to see. Everything I just mentioned is complemented by its really nice art. Okubo is able to blend different art styles depending on the tone, on the scene, and on how important the moment is. There's always this sense of dread with this art as the manga goes deeper and deeper in the themes of madness, fear, order, and change. His character design have so much flair and are so unique, he's easily able to stand out next to other shonen. But I've been yapping for a bit too long, let me actually talk about the characters and what I like in more details. As I mentioned earlier, I think Maka is the perfect protagonist for the series. She is the heart of the main trio, and one of the best things about her is how her weakness is shown and portrayed. Maka doesn't end the story as the strongest, nowhere near, but it's the way she gets up after many setbacks that makes me enjoy and appreciate the character even more. She's portrayed to be vulnerable, reckless, but never a damsel in distress. She always has this courage that drives her to stand up against most of her problems, and even when she fails or when she falls, she has soul to back her up. The dynamic between both of them is easily the best aspect about both characters. I even want to count them as both the main characters because Maka cannot work without Soul, just like Soul can't work without Maka. Soul was the one who pulled Maka out from the madness of the clown. He was the one who helped her during the chapter of Sloth. Just like Maka was the one who helped Soul against Arachne's manipulation or madness. Both characters complete one another. Soul himself as the character is really dope. There are so many moments in the manga that explores the nature of his madness, his lack of self-worth compared to his older brother that drives him to forsake his passion for the piano. It's only by giving in to his madness that he's able to feel the passion for playing the piano, but it could also lead to him losing himself, consumed by his madness and by the black blood. The way Okubo deals with his plot point is really well done. Soul is torn between forsaking his passion for the piano, thus refusing to enjoy life, or embracing his madness, his desire to play the piano, but at the cost of his sanity. There are so many moments during the manga where he gives in into that madness and you can feel his joy, his love for music, and I think it's great. The art also does a great job showing to all those moments. The different art style used makes them much more impactful and much more memorable. Of course, there's much more to Soul and Maka's character, but we might be here for hours, so let me just get to the main event. Black Star is the best character in Soul Eater, bar none. The only ones that come close to him are Soul and Krona for me, and that's it. I don't want to go too in depth into Black Star because I'm going to make a whole different video on him, but let me briefly glaze one of my favorite characters of all time. He has all the best moments, all the best fights, and even all the best dialogue. Chapter 49 and his fight against Mifune really elevated his character to a whole nother level compared to the rest of the cast. Having his ego broken, he begins to doubt himself as he strays closer and closer to the path of becoming a demon. The path of power always leads to becoming a Kishin. It's only by consuming the fear, the despair, and the resentment of the people who failed to obtain that power that you can forge your own path and move forward. Learning that truth of the path he was taking, Black Sword breaks down the boy who wanted to surpass the god on his knees when he realized the nature of the power he's searching is much more dangerous and much deeper than anything he could ever imagine. And I love it. It is just so well done. Easily my favorite moment in Soul Eater. I always go back to read chapter 49 because seeing Black Sword vulnerable is the best way to connect with his character. His madness of power is given time, nuance, and writing to make it so interesting to follow. His dynamic with Tsubaki is actually really good. I like the fact that she feels like her own character. She's not just an arsenal of tools with no nuance. One of the earlier moments in the manga was her confronting her brother and how she conformed to what others wanted at the detriment of her own feelings and desire, and the way she gets over it was some really good stuff. As I said before, I don't want to go too long into Black Sword because I'm going to make his own vid next week, but he is easily one of my favorite characters in any media ever. He is that guy. He is the warrior god, but yeah, he's the GOAT. Death the Kid is kind of weird to me because, as I said before, I find him to be underutilized in the first half of the story. Of course, he has some pretty important moments. I think his confrontation with Black Sword is one of the best ones. There is no gag about symmetry or anything. It was just him trying to reason with Black Sword, who was taking the path of becoming a Kishin, and that was really dope. You could feel the tension of that scene. You could feel Black Sword almost succumbing to the madness, and Kid for the first time acting like a god, guiding Black Sword to the right path, and that was really cool. So he has his moments, but I feel like he is used as a joke a bit too much for my liking compared to the rest of the cast. Thankfully, most of the interesting aspect about Kid's character comes around when he's trapped in the Book of Abon. At first, I thought him giving into the madness was a bit too quick, but being isolated for such a long time and with the influence of the old great, I think it makes sense. I really like this version of Kid, maybe because he's hella edgy, but I think his dialogue during this madness breakdown is really interesting. Realizing that turning everything into nothingness isn't a solution, and that the perfect balance between life and death is the ultimate order, is the ultimate power he's seeking, was incredible. It was really well done with the interaction with Black Sword because he is the one who pulled him out and kind of knocked some sense into him, and I really like that. It's actually a really good callback to when Kid himself helped Black Sword when he fell into the madness. Both characters complement each other in a really dope way, and they have one of the best dynamic or rivalry I've seen in any shonen. It's phenomenal. Before I get to the villains, I briefly want to talk about Dr. Stain. He is a great character. Him never succumbing to the madness because he knows he has people to care about is just peak. It seems pretty simple, and it is, but the manga gives us enough time for it to feel earned and great. When it comes to Soul Eater's antagonists, I think most of them are really dope. Not everyone, of course. Noah is pretty lame. He doesn't move me at all. It feels like he was set up to do something major, but nothing happened. He just gets cooked and that's it. Arachne also was pretty disappointing. It felt like she had something going on with wanting to be the mother of everything, and her almost controlling Soul and driving him to madness made me think that she was gonna be a big deal later on, but she gets clapped in like 2-3 chapters, and that was it for her. I think she was just there to give Medusa a new body because she really doesn't do anything that important. But the rest of the villains are great. Justin Law is a fucking psycho, and I love it. I was getting so tired of seeing so many sympathetic antagonists, so seeing one or having one who is a natural lunatic was such a breath of fresh air. Every line of dialogue was just him being a crackhead, or his undying love or devotion to the kitchen, and the despair and the madness he's bringing. I find it very ironic that on the surface, he's supposed to be seen as a man of God, but underneath, he's just worshiping the devil, and both ideas are present with his design. Pretty cool twist or detail if you ask me. Medusa is one of the most evil characters I've ever seen. She is genuinely unhinged. She's a master manipulator, and the abuse she made Krona feel or suffer is actually unreal. She came up with a plan to free the kitchen because she was tired of the status quo and wanted evolution. She used Krona for all her experiments, using him as a lab rat and forcing him to do some really messed up shit as a child. She has no pity for her own kid. She is crazy. Krona, in the other hand, is one of the most tragic characters I've seen in a shonen. He really went through hell as a child, having to kill animals, being isolated for days and then with nothing to eat, being mentally, emotionally, and physically abused for years probably. Like, she was there for a long time, having no affection and being used as a tool during his whole life. He's just broken. So when Krona finally killed Medusa, I felt something in my heart. The whole of chapter 87 was just building up to that moment. Seeing Medusa showing affection for the first time was so out of left field that even I felt weird about it, and Krona felt the same. She doesn't know how to deal with affection, so her only answer was to kill her, and it felt so great. That whole chapter was unbelievable. Just a simple story about killing a person. Chef kiss. I'm going to keep this one brief. I found the kitchen to be pretty cool, really dope design, but I wish we could have had more of him. Yes, all the madness is because of his presence, but I wish himself as a character was much more present in the story, because I thought everything about his character was really dope. But it is not that big of a deal, honestly. Before ending this vid, I want to quickly touch on the nature of madness, because I see it in three ways. Madness is the deepest desire of a person, like Black Star's madness of power and the Kid's madness of order. It could also represent despair or fear relating to the kitchen, or madness could also be or simply be insanity, losing yourself, which is frequently shown with Dr. Stain and Krona. Of course, madness is much more deeper than this brief analysis, but I really wanted to mention it real quick. But that's all I gotta say about Soul Eater. I love this manga. It took me like a week to finish it, and it was such a blast. I think anyone who likes manga or shonen should read Soul Eater. Perfect pacing, characters are great, no slow moments, really consistent from start to finish. Everyone should read it. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and to subscribe, and stay safe.